Who knows? There you go. Aha. The multiplayer experience. This salad kind of hitting while also hurting my stomach. I don't know. With OBS? Mm. No, it's probably just OBS being stupid. Oh. Oh. I have no clue. This thing, every time you make any kind of noise, you just get brighter. Fun fact, there's plants on the side of my screen. So it kind of just looks like you brought plants with you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can hear you in Discord, I think. How well? Victory is ours. Man. Oh man, these salads, they hit. Ah, yes. Today we're building a boat. Today we're not building a boat. Today I will be cave exploring, I think. Whack-a-mole 320.
Channel? My family found my YouTube channel! So rewinding to June, July of 2025, I graduated from university with my BS degree studying animation, and my next step was to find a big boy job in the animation industry. So I would send out applications, and I have a lot of friends who are in the industry, so I'd go up to them, ask everyone, so like, how can I get into the animation industry? It seems so fun. And my friend put their hands on my shoulders and be like, Ringo, it's bad. I wish I could do content creation instead, because I don't know if I'm gonna have a job tomorrow. And I was like, holy shit, the industry is doing really bad right now. So at this point, I was unemployed for half a year. I was playing Genshin every single day. You should look at my account.
No boat. Damn. We should play Cultivation Story instead. Become sages.
This is 10 beginner tips for Vintage Story. Tip number 1. When napping a rock, you only need to break the blocks on the outline of what you're making. By only breaking the voxels that are necessary, you can save yourself a lot of time and a lot of clicking. Tip number 2. Sticks are a valuable resource and are used to make all sorts of useful tools and items. You have a higher chance of receiving sticks when you break the leaves on a tree before chopping it down. You are also guaranteed a stick when breaking branchy leaves. Or you can pick them up off the ground by right-clicking on them with an open hand or with a stick in hand. Regular leaves have a very low chance of dropping sticks, so it's usually not worth breaking them. Tip number 3. You can harvest cattail roots for emergency food. They aren't very filling, but they can keep you alive in a pinch. You'll need to break the cattail's base with a knife. If you try to harvest them with your hands, it will just break the root. Once obtained, you can cook them on a fire pit for an easy meal. Tip number 4. Jumping into water does not work like it does in Minecraft. The higher you fall, the more water you'll need to break your fall. Fall damage is real and it hurts a lot. Keep this in mind when exploring, and generally, we recommend avoiding cliff diving. Tip number 5. On your first day, you'll want to do a lot of things, but one of the most important is getting a good idea of your surroundings. Don't be afraid to run around, explore a little. Keep an eye out for ore deposits, berry bushes, and mushrooms. M with default controls will bring up.
This game is truly unique and has such a high learning curve. However, once you get into it, it's much simpler than it looks. I'm here to break down the entire game for you while avoiding spoilers. No matter how much you play, there will always be something for you to learn. So if you have anything that you want to add, please put it down in the comments. But for now, let's get into it. Now, you've played games like this before. Your first instinct is probably to hit a tree. Yeah, that doesn't work here. You're gonna get nowhere with this. To get into the Copper Age, we're gonna have to do a lot while surviving. One of the first things that you want to start doing is find a ton of native copper bits. You want to start picking that up. But we want to mark it down for later, because under all the copper bits that you find is usually a copper deposit shortly under it. And as soon as we get our pickaxe, we're coming back to that copper to grab a whole bunch more. If you need some sticks, you can always just go and hit some leaves. Alternatively, you can find some by running around forests, and you might find some on the ground. I happen to spawn next to a trader. Each trader caravan will look something like this. This one is a commodity.
I don't carry stress very often. But boy, when I do, I don't know. I like being quiet. It's a hobby. Oh, are we sharing chat? I don't know why. Pretty sure everything I have is at max, so there's nothing I can do. Oh. The anxiety of hearing a storm. I'm scared to go outside. Yeah, I'm scared to go outside. I live in house now. Hey, it's clean in here. Scared. Yeah. The storm is really trying to get us. But as for me, nothing crazy has been going on. I've been trying to just focus on content creation and getting it to where I want it to be. Because the job market is ass right now, and content creation is my passion. My passion and hope future job. Be self-employed sounds so much better than working for a company that doesn't care. If I can get at this point, I just want a company. I don't even care if they care anymore. I'm just like, as long as you pay a little better and have a little better benefits, you know, and then you got to be marginally better. It's just a little bit. You just have a little standard, so. Or hire. Just hire me, yeah. Hire me. Let me show you. Let me show you something. That's pretty much where I'm at. The job economy. Yeah. I think if I were to talk about stress, the biggest stress would be trying to get my car fixed before you do find one. Because that changes the dynamic so much. I need my vehicle at that point because I'm going to be taking Satora 90% of the time. And right now I'm not in the position to do that, which makes it scary. Because Uber is expensive. In this economy, it's like at that point, you're giving away your check. No, sorry, stairs make the house cheaper. You get discounts. You get discounts for having stairs. Oh, I thought you were kicking him down to the basement so all his stuff won't be all over the house. I mean, office space for work or office space for all the other stuff? Because it sounds like he needs a whole storage system. He needs one of these. he needs a room like this, just like chest and everything, you know, that pop up with all his stuff. Oh no, my.
trader. Nothing I really care about, but we can sell some stuff to her. So anyway, right now we're looking for flint, which I just happened to find some. You can hold shift and right click on the ground with the flint, and it brings up this prompt with a bunch of tools. You'll notice that pickaxe is not one of them. However, a knife is, and a knife is incredibly useful. So I can see more flint over here, which we can use to start shaping this knife. But let's get this made, and we can combine it in our crafting menu to make a knife. By the way, if you noticed, there is no inventory up here yet, and all we can hold is on our hotbar. So you can see my health bar over here, and my hunger bars over here. We're already going down in hunger, and I don't want to starve. The best early game food right off the bat would be berries. You can find bushes all around, and they're a great food source. Here's a berry bush. This is exactly what we were looking for. You can just hold right click on it, you'll get your berries, and then you can eat up. No reason to starve in the early days. You can actually just break them down and pick them up, and then you can bring them back to your base and replant them. Over here, it is the best thing that you can find. It's called cattail. You'll typically find it in water sources. You just take out your knife, you hold left click on it, and you'll get cattails. You'll notice that it broke into two. If you hold left click on that, you'll get a root. Roots are pretty great. You can eat them if you need to. However, they're very poor on food and nutrition. But you can grab them, bring them anywhere you want, and replant them. Cattails used for a whole variety of things. However, the main thing that we're looking for right now is a backpack. Or in this case, it would be baskets, which can give us more inventory spots. I got 20 cattails, which means I can drop it into my crafting bar right here. If we align it like this, we can make a basket. I actually had enough for 2 baskets. So now we have 6 inventory spaces that we can use. And down here, we have room for 2 more. I just noticed that there's flax on the ground right here. You want to be picking that up. It's pretty much our main goal right now is to find a bunch of flax and other wild crops. I recommend that you do an insane amount of exploring. Don't worry too much about picking up every little thing, except for the copper and all the seeds that you can find. You want to stay clear of the blueberry bushes if you can, especially right now. If you see a blueberry bush, there's a good chance that there might be a bear nearby, and we are not fighting off a bear. Speaking of combat, we're going to drop down another flint. We're going to craft a flint spear. We're going to make the spearhead real quick, drop it on a stick. Now we have a primitive weapon. You can obviously jab with it or hold right click to throw it, which me as a hunter does more throwing damage, so throwing spears is a great idea for me right now. This is something that you need to be aware of. That's a temporal rift right there. They can be extremely dangerous and enemies can spawn around it. I wouldn't be hanging out around these. By the way, something cool that you might not know is if you stand in it, you'll see the little wheel spinning. That's your temporal stability going down, and if you stay in it too long, you might just see Dave. Hi Dave! Anyway, I'm gonna get back out, and now my stability is going back up. This is really cool to show you guys. I don't see too many people talking about it, but you can see that my temporal stability is going down right now, and there's no portal here. This land itself is not stable. So if you were to build a house here, you would go insane and stuff would attack you pretty much 24/7. So whenever you're trying to set up a home, keep that in mind. By the way, if you press C, you can open up this menu and you can see it's right about to turn 18, which means that it is going to be nighttime soon. You can also see other stuff like your nutrition, but just know the more food of a certain variety that you eat, the higher the bar, which will result you into having more health. But it is becoming dark out. This is about the time that I should show you guys how to make a torch. I'm not too worried about this on the first night. If we need to, I can always just dig a hole in the ground. There's no shame in surviving, okay? So pull out your knife and just left click the grass. You'll notice that you'll get dried grass, which is exactly what we're looking for. If you combine it with sticks, you can get torches. And if you combine it with 2 sticks, you can get a fire starter. If you place a torch on the ground, you go up to it with the fire starter, you can light it. And you can take your other torches and light them directly off of this torch. And now we have a source of light. You can always stick it into your offhand. That way you have your main hand to continue to do stuff. So right now we're desperately looking for clay. If I can find clay, we'll be able to start smelting our copper. On top of that, we need it to start making pottery, which is necessary to do a whole bunch of things like the smithing, but also cooking and a whole lot of other stuff. But it is nighttime and I happen to just stumble upon another trader, an agricultural trader. What's useful about that is he has a bed which we are gonna borrow. Didn't even have to make one. And it's day 2. Okay, perfect. I found clay. However, I did notice that there's 2 bears sitting up there. We're gonna attempt to get this clay without bothering any of them. It should be doable. Let's go ahead. Let's pick up some clay. Right now, we need to set up a house. And setting up near some water would be incredibly nice. That way we can utilize it for our farm. You can see that this says got a pickaxe. and we're gonna go get a whole bunch of copper. Alright, I found our very first one. As you can see, I marked it on the map, so I didn't have to do any searching, just a tiny bit of backtracking. What we're gonna do is we're gonna dig down a bit, and there should be plenty of copper directly under us. And there we go, native copper already. Let's pick up a whole bunch. And that was the last one. What we can do is we can take the hammer, put it on top, and we can smash it up into bits. We got 108 there. We're gonna split it up, that way we can get 100. We're gonna get that cooking again, and it's ready. We're gonna take it out, and we're gonna pour a prospecting pick. I can place that back down, and we're gonna go to bed. And when I wake up, we should be ready to use that. And there it is. We craft that just like any other tool, and we have a prospecting pick. The reason why I made this right off the bat, instead of going for an anvil or any other tools, is because we do not want to stay in the Copper Age for very much longer. We're gonna save all this, and we're going straight for the Bronze Age. So let me show you how to use the prospecting pick. Prospecting might seem overwhelming, because it is, but it doesn't need to be. To start prospecting, you obviously need a prospecting pick. It doesn't matter what material it is, but the better the material, the more durability you'll have, and it's pretty nice to not have to make a new one every once in a while. So make whatever you can afford. I do recommend you have a bunch of ladders on you. This will help for the actual prospecting and gathering of the ore that you want. So with the prospecting pick out, you press F, you have density search and node search. If you don't see node search, it might be disabled. When starting up a new world, it should be on by default. So if you don't see it, this is why. However, if you don't have it on an existing world, you can type in this command and restart your game, and you'll have it next time you log on. So the difference between these two is summed up to short range and long range. Long range is basically a chunk, and node range is determined by the setting that you had it at. So for example, this box being right here, the short range node search. If you were to mine this block right here in the very middle, it would be able to see if there was ores inside of this block. If you had it set down to a lower number, it would obviously shrink. But 8 in that direction, 8 in that direction, and so on. Even if you were to have an ore directly right here, it would still be able to see it. So when you're out and about, and you want to start prospecting, you want to just dig down. You want to go into the stone. You can ladder up to the surface again. This is why we have the ladders. You want to poke out a few holes going into the sides, little tunnels. Take out your prospecting pick, set it to density search, and mine the block on the very end. You need 3 samples, and each time you mine one of these, it needs to be 3 blocks away from each other, which is why we did it like this. So do one on each side. And the block that you did first is gonna be where it's around. So here's the last one right here. And there we go. You can see right here we have very poor of these 2 right here. For now, we're gonna go for the bismuth. That is used for making bronze. Now that node search on my map is gonna look like this. This is because of a mod called Prospecting Together. I highly recommend it, but it is not necessary. It's just a little visual guide here for me. And I can see the chunk that this was mined in. So just ignore this if you're not going to be using the mod. So because we found bismuth and it's very poor, what we do is we look at the map here, and we want to start collecting data around it as well. So some over here, up here, and down here. We're going to run about 100 blocks this way and do the same. Okay, let's do it again right here. Now you can see the bismuth stayed exactly the same. So I'm going to go up here now and see if it changes. And let's see how it does. So the bismuth has gone down, which means it's somewhere down here-ish. And there you go, it's already going up, which means that we should be continuing to take samples from around this area. So this is how it worked out. We looked around here to see if it raised at all, and it didn't. And I kept following it. It kept going a little bit higher as we went, up until right here, and I checked around it, and it kept lowering every single time. So the chunk that I'm sitting in has the highest likelihood of having the bismuth. I got really unlucky and it's still very poor. However, it's the best I'm gonna find in this area. I obviously could go start again somewhere else and we can look for much better. You can see right here it is still very poor, which means that there isn't any big veins in this area of bismuth, but there definitely is some directly under me, but it's not going to be super plentiful and it's going to be harder to find. But either way, we're going to try to find it. The way that I like to find it is I just go and dig straight down, obviously laddering up. Make sure you have an exit out of here. We dig down a bit, we take out the prospecting pick, and we do the node search. So we break a block here, and you can see all these blocks that are around me. If you want to go for any of these, feel free. However, right now we're looking for bismuth. It did not say that it found any bismuth, so we're gonna keep digging down until it says something about it. Oh, and there we go. Bismuth, large amounts. So from here, we know that there's bismuth around me. I know it's not above me because I've been node searching all the way down, so it needs to be somewhere under me and in a direction. Oh, and here we go. Yeah, it was directly under me. And again, it said it's very poor. A lot of the time when you're doing this, you can find way higher amounts, and it's even easier to find because there'll be way bigger ore piles. So this was the worst case scenario. However, it was directly under me, so that made it incredibly nice. A lot of the time it's going to require you to dig around, as it could have been pretty much anywhere in this chunk. What I would recommend you do is do a ladder right here, where my pointer is. If you don't find anything in a while, with the node search, go make another ladder right over here, and if you don't find anything again, here and then here. And sometimes you need to go really far down. For instance, I had to go quite a bit. Other than that, I just wanted to give a couple more quick tips. Not all ore can be found in certain kinds of rocks. In my mind, it's kind of complicated, and I don't pay too much attention to it. But if you open up your handbook and type in the ore that you're looking for, you can see the stones that it can spawn into. In this case, slate, phyllite, peridotite, basalt, granite, and andesite. So I wouldn't be looking for bismuth inside of bauxite, and some ores will prefer bauxite, so it might be worth looking up for you. Also, the prospecting pick can't pick up every single kind of block. For instance, it can't find halite, however you can find sylvite, which will be around it. So if you're going crazy not finding the thing you want to find, it might be worth doing a little bit of research. The last tip here is you should always pay attention to the words before the numbers. Let's say this bismuth right here said ultra high but had a lower number, and this one right here said very poor but had a higher number. You should be going for the ultra high one. That is much more important than going for the number. It can be daunting, but I figured this might help somebody getting into it. Welcome to my smithy. I'm here to show you guys how to work metal. It's insanely easy, and once you know what you're doing, you won't need me anymore. To start, you're gonna need yourself a hammer and some wooden tongs. The tongs go into your offhand, the hammer into your main.
Yeah. Now the cookies and cream one reminds me of like if Ensure. Have you ever drunk an Ensure? But like a cookies and cream version. I think they added the flavoring to that. So it's like they like meal replacements. I'm stuck in the house because I need to heal. Like a leaf could probably fall on me. Is there no faster way to heal? Aww.
Welcome to the Mist. Here are 14 random tips for vintage. Welcome to. Here are 14 random.
Vintage Story is a very challenging survival experience, and if you're used to other block-based games, it might put on.
Whether you're a brand new Seraph or just need a refresher, I'll be teaching you everything you need to know to survive and thrive. Vintage Story is a complicated game, and existing guides last ages. I'm here to change that by explaining everything you need to know in under an hour without any of the fluff. I'll also be avoiding spoilers as much as possible. Feel free to skip around. I've cut the video into labeled chapters on the YouTube time bar so you can find whatever you need. The very first thing you want to do in your Vintage Story world is source some stone that you can use to make your tools. Certain stones, like shale rock as you can see here, are too soft to be used to make tools. By searching through leaves and looking at the top of the screen, you'll see branchy leaves. These drop sticks when broken. After a little bit of searching, you'll more than likely come across some flint. By shift right-clicking the ground with the flint, you'll open up the recipe selection. From there, you can choose a tool to make. With your tool selected, click the grid with another stone to remove pixels until you've outlined the shape of the tool in the grid. When the process is complete, you'll have whatever you were trying to make as an item in your hand. These tool heads can be combined with sticks.
Yeah.
This will finalize the tool creation process. As you can see, flint tools are not known for their durability, so you'll want to pick up any flint that you see in your travels. While journeying for your starting resources, you'll likely come across berry bushes here and there. Hold right-click and you can harvest berries from them, which can be used as food. If you want to go a step further, you can also take the bushes and replant them at the place you choose to settle down later. Now that we've secured starting tools and flint, we can get to making a knife. This knife will be necessary to expand our inventory. In case you hadn't noticed, until this point you've only had access to the hotbar. With your knife equipped, approach some cattails. When cut with the knife, cattails will drop themselves while leaving the roots intact. With at least 10 cattails in hand, we can make a handbasket. Vintage Story operates on the classic RPG backpack system, where you have multiple backpack slots determining the space in your inventory. Drag and drop our cattails to distribute them into the grid, and we'll make handbaskets, expanding our inventory. It's a bit of a process to get the 40 necessary to fill all 4 slots, but it's more than worth it. Much like the berry bushes, if you're trying to live the life of a homesteader, cutting the cattails' roots themselves will drop them as an item which can be replanted in water later. Additionally, if you're especially hungry, you can cook them for food that gives you a little bit more saturation than berries. But we haven't actually gotten to cooking yet, so let's explain that now. With your axe, target the bottom block of a tree. The whole thing will come down when it's finally done chopping, so be patient. Now we need to take our axe and make this wood into firewood. Take your knife and cut some grass. Then shift right-click the ground with the dry grass to place the starter for your fire pit. Adding logs to this with shift right-click will slowly build it into a fire pit. Then we take 2 sticks and a piece of dry grass to make a fire starter. Yep, we're rubbing sticks together to start fire.
I mean, that's a good thing.
Hold shift right-click on the fire pit with your fire starter, and your character will attempt to light it. With some patience and persistence, we can get a fire burning. Now we take whatever it is that we want to cook, and we place it in the fire pit. Unlike in certain other games, the items don't simply process automatically. You have to wait for your food to get hot enough to actually be considered cooking. In the case of cattail roots, once they get past 150 degrees, they'll start cooking, and the arrow here will slowly fill until it's done. If our fire pit burns out, the heat doesn't dissipate immediately. Rather than having to relight the fire, you can simply place more firewood inside it and it'll relight itself if it's still hot. With night rapidly approaching, we'll need a place to spend the night. Personally, I'm quite partial to a more primitive hut to start things off. While in some circles it's frowned upon to build a starting house out of dirt, in Vintage Story you can turn dirt into a more suitable building block for a beginner. Taking 6 dirt and arranging it in the crafting grid, you can turn it into packed dirt. With 1.20, you can now also turn that packed dirt into rammed earth. As you can see, rammed earth looks more like a traditional Native American sort of building material than regular old dirt. And if you want to go one step further, you can craft it one last time, and you get a block with some wear that looks awfully rustic. At any point during your journey, you might find yourself set upon by some manner of wild beast. While it's a bit cheesy, placing blocks upwards will allow you to escape. Simply jump and right-click the ground beneath yourself, and you can place a block. Then repeat the process until you're roughly 2 or 3 blocks away. If you happen to provoke the wildlife, say approaching too close to a wolf or a moose, or maybe throwing rocks at it, you can escape all retribution simply by standing on your pillar. The animal will most likely get bored and leave, and you'll be safe. With my coward pillar dismantled, the wolf is left to go live its own life. But if your encounters with the wildlife don't go so smoothly, and you happen to be torn to shreds, the game is kind enough to automatically mark the location where you died. On default settings, you'll have roughly 10 minutes to go retrieve your...
Goodbye, old friend. The hunger taking me out. I feel like they'll back the day. I'm withering away. That's night. Is it night time? I'm in that corner. As you said no, I lied. I fell to my knees. It's fine. Now I have full health again. Something's actually trying to kill me. I don't like that. We can get other. What do you mean it from? Looks like it's home. Oh, completing the doors. Yes. That I could fly. Apparently not. Excuse me. Bring it back. What? Yeah, I died. Let's get this on the road. Respawn. Hello, hello. Congrats, you died. Is insane. Right? Why am I glowing? Am I glowing? Huh? Oh. Yeah, I just never noticed. What is this? Horsetail? Do we need horsetail? Hey, horsetail, let me get that. Let's see if I'm actually home. I know, right? Moo Moo London. Moo Moo London? That is a name. Just interesting name, actually. Huh? A little. I was trying to be nosy, but I can't really because I'm trying to focus. I'm in the trees. Oh, God. Oh, I found growing onions. Alarm. I brought some onion seeds. Well, I'm bringing some. All right, I am going to the house. Going to the house. What is tool? Tule. It's a plant. I ran into. That it's good for thatch and tour. So it's really not like it's not something I care for. Awkward. So basically I started following instinct home, right? That actually brought me home rather than trying to follow them out. I forget how strong my instinct is when it comes to games. That's good. That's great. That's great. Coming in. House is good. Nicely. It is, isn't it? Moss said the house is coming together nicely. It is, isn't it? Hey, I will remind you, I am streaming. So, I don't think they can hear you. You're not even listening. You know what's also valid? Don't forget. I'm just letting you know. Because you start blocking things out. Just saying, and remember what you say. You can't hurt. I mean, they can't really hear you, but they can hear you. You know, if you do it. Noise suppression, yeah. Not gonna lie, I could probably have a whole, like, parade going on in this room, and I don't think chat could hear it. Oh, heck yeah, everybody hears an alien. Can't get around with that one. Yeah, valid. Yes, indeed. I mean, her literal gang found us. following you. Let me just. Alright, prospecting this way. What is that down there? Okay. I didn't know she had an appointment tomorrow. Oh, that's quartz. Oh, shit. Oh, you need bronze. Fuck. Found another one of those places. I found rice grain. Did I do? Was that good? I don't even know. True that? Scared. I always get scared when I come down here. turns into dust. That's fair. Really wasn't anything here. So much words. What is that? Shut up! Shut up! I figured out that the bell is a crybaby. Yeah. I noticed as I got jumped. When I was hitting it like it was gonna do something, but it did not do anything. Hey, old house. Oh. The only thing I say is all of the bushes were right. The rye is still grunted. The rye is not done yet, though. And the carrots aren't done. Now pumpkin. The only reason I came over here was because I thought this was the house. I thought this was the actual house. New house. Apparently not. That will happen. Yes, indeed. Don't you have to stretch before yoga? Yoga doesn't have like a pre-stretch stretch. Now if it's pulling muscles, I don't know. Are we all gonna just take it in yoga classes? Oh, that's first thing. Sweet. Understandable. I'll go too. I'll get one pierced in your honor. Yep. Moss, the right or the left? Mm-mm. Which is totally fine. Oh, hey, chicken. I might come back and slaughter you guys later. You might want to move homes. I have like a lot of berries on me. Yep. Let me give me a moth. Not me starving with food in my inventory. What in the world am I doing? Yeah, I've been meaning to do that. I just keep getting lucky and coming back to you by instinct. I spelled house wrong. There we go. Putting stuff up right now. Turnip seeds. Okay. How do we place this down? There we go. Got that. Put the food downstairs, you said. Expensive, yeah. I also want to get one. I can't. I'm just like trying not to think about stuff like that until, you know. Once that thing is done, then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get one with you at some point. I'll start saving up when you save up, and then we'll save up. Yeah. So it'll take a while. So it gives me time to get my car situated and finally start saving after that. After paying you guys back. Oh, you know, I started going back in this cave and I realized I don't have what I need. I don't remember if this is, I think this is the cave. Oh, I just fell into the darkness. I'm gonna die. You might as well just kill me. Any monsters down here? Because I can't see shit. I might be able to make it out. So I was able to get my stuff back. really said, I like your place. Mind if I come in? Okay. Me creating my own little maze. Hello. Still trying to get the hang of this mining business. I found traces of playthings, as you can see, if you see the little red dots around the place. It's just, mining is just, That's good. That'd be convenient.
In the last video, we got enough copper to begin mining. Scavenging for nuggets here and there is all well and good for producing your first tools, but the anvil takes 900 units of metal, and a basic set of lamellar armor takes 2,700 units of metal. Suffice to say, you're going to need more than a few bits and pieces of copper scummed from a pond. You're going to need to find a true and honest mine. To do that, we have to learn how to prospect, which I've broken up into 3 parts. Part 1. The prospecting pick. The prospecting pick is the main tool you use to locate ore. It can be very confusing to new players, but the way it works is fairly straightforward. It has two modes, density search and node search, which you can switch between with F. To take a density search reading, break one stone block, move over a few blocks, and take another, and then repeat a third time. The readout will show in the info log. Density search will give us a readout of three things. 1. It shows us all of the ores that have a chance of spawning in the chunk. 2. It shows us the chance that this has occurred during terrain generation. 3. It shows us how much of the chunk will be ore if it does spawn. The higher the number, the better, but don't get hung up on it too much. The real important information is the adjective here. If there is an ultra-high chance of an ore spawning, even if the amount that is likely to be there is pretty small, relatively speaking, that does not matter. What matters is that it is, in all likelihood, there. It's important to remember that density search does not actually detect real ore. It only gives you statistical facts about the area you're in. Still, it's extremely reliable if read correctly. The second mode is node search. Node search will actually tell you if, within a set radius around the block broken, an ore is present. It will also tell you how much ore there is within that radius. Because it does not detect the entire cluster of ore, you can use the amount displayed to determine if you're getting closer or further away from the ore. By default, when you make a world, this mode is disabled. You can find the setting here in the world generation settings. If you forgot to enable it and have already generated a world, it won't show up in the menu, and you will have to enter this command, which I will also put in the description of the video. When entering the command, enter an integer between 1 and 12 to define how far the radius of its search should extend. I personally use 5. Then restart your game. It's rarely worth it to take a surface reading with the node search mode when searching for ores, as you will likely only get nothing, or maybe some spare flint lying just below the surface. Part 2. Chasing ore. Prospecting is not about wandering out at random and stumbling into a massive ore field. It's a logical process of finding trace readings of ore and following them to their highest concentration. If we imagined every chunk and its ore content as a heat map, it would look a lot less like this. Random chunks, some with no copper, some with a little, some with a lot, and more like this. A central hotspot of the highest ore concentration with steadily cooling tendrils branching out. Your goal as a prospector is to hit one of these weak little offshoots and chase it back to its source. Take a reading and make note of whether the ore you're looking for has a presence. If you get anything other than high or ultra high, pick another direction and move about 80 blocks north, south, east, or west and take another sample. If the results stay the same or go up, you're on the right track, and you should continue moving in that direction, continuing to take readings. If the reading goes down, you need to return to your last reading, pick a new direction, and move 80 blocks that way. If you patiently follow this process, you can find the highest concentrations of ore without potentially wearing down your pick collecting a bunch of stone. Not every ore field is guaranteed to lead to a reading of ultra-high 99%. It's not impossible for certain ores to bottom out at decent or even as bad as minuscule. But with copper, it is almost always possible to find an ultra-high. Let's take a recap of what happened here. We stumbled upon a reading of very poor copper, and heading east, we took another reading and found that it dropped down to minuscule copper. So we headed back west to our original reading, and then continued on west, where the copper continued to rise but remained at very poor. So we headed even further west, but found that the copper got even worse. So we cycled back east to our highest reading of very poor copper, and decided to head south, where we were rewarded with a better reading of poor copper. So we continued to head south and found a reading of high copper. We headed even further south and found very high copper. But heading even further south than that, we found that the copper completely vanished. However, it's worth pointing out that we found a large concentration of tin, which will be very useful for the future. Seeking copper at the moment, though, we doubled back to our very high reading, continued a little bit further south than that, and then headed further west, finally landing on a reading of ultra-high copper. Part 3. Locating the mine. Let's take a look at what an ore node actually looks like. Ores in Vintage Story generate in large, flat, horizontal disks. They may have a slight tilt, but they're undeniably still far wider than they are tall. This means that vertical shafts punched down have a much better chance of hitting the disk than horizontal tunnels. In order to find an ore deposit with the most efficiency, we will deploy what I like to call the soda cracker method. The soda cracker method is a method of systematically searching a chunk for ore by making evenly spaced vertical shafts. Unfortunately for now, if you don't want to risk dropping into a mine full of drifters, you will have to make a spiral staircase, which is 3 times slower. Penetrate down to the mantle, and as you go, switch your prospecting pick to the node search mode and periodically take a sample. If your pick detects even trace amounts of ore, carve into the rock in any direction and see where the reading gets stronger or weaker, mimicking the same kind of systematic search we employed to find the chunk. The search radius of the Pro Pick is a sphere, so it is sometimes challenging to find the ore, as it could be somewhere diagonal to your current position. If you don't find anything, return to the surface and move over double the distance of your prospecting pick's range and repeat. If you don't know the range, or don't want to take occasional readings, just move 8 blocks, as that is a narrow enough gap between shafts that you're unlikely to miss a node. With this methodology, you are sure to either hit or come within detection range of ore. There are some additional miscellaneous pieces of advice I couldn't fit in smoothly, so here they are. Right now, you don't have a saw, but when you do, you can craft a bucket. The bucket allows you to make water columns to descend straight down. You can make the occasional air pockets to recover in as you descend, which also give you a good place to take a Pro Pick reading. On top of that, while torches are a good cheap option for lighting things up, they go out if held in water. Keep them out of your hotbar, and use an oil lamp for personal illumination, as it's immune to water. Be sure to pack a crock pot of food and as much inventory space as possible. Mining and prospecting can be lengthy, and you don't want to get caught out without food. As you spend time deeper and deeper underground, your temporal stability will reduce. If it drops low enough, you could risk forcing the spawn of some really nasty nightmare drifters. So be sure to leave before you get below 40% or so. Pack a stack of dirt with you. It's useful for blocking off caves you might stumble into by accident, and can be used to get up or down certain pathways. Bring an extra pick. There is no way to craft a pick or break rock down in the mines. The last thing you want is to be trapped with no blocks and no means of getting back up out of the mine. Always keep a spare pick on hand. Copper tools are great, but you can only pour a small selection of items. With the introduction of the anvil and smithing, we can open a world of new possibilities for you. So the next video will be about smithing. If you're willing to put in the effort of producing a large amount of molds, casting tools can be an efficient way to produce a large number of items at once without too much effort. However, of the 14 metal tools available, only 7, the hammer, axe, pickaxe, Pro Pick, shovel, hoe, and the phalx, can be poured. In order to produce the rest, you'll have to begin smithing. Smithing is largely superior to casting, as not only does it allow you to produce the full range of tools, it is also extremely fuel efficient, requiring only a single piece of fuel to produce 4 full tools if you work quickly. There are also an additional 13 items that can only be made via smithing. Although the initial buy-in on the anvil can be daunting to early players, it's absolutely worth it to invest in, just for the saw alone. So let's begin. Step 1. Setup. To smith, you will need an anvil, a hammer, a forge, fuel such as coal or charcoal, a torch, tongs, and metal ingots. I also highly recommend creating a smithy, a dedicated room for working unmolested by the weather, wild animals, or drifter. To create the anvil, you will need to create and fire an anvil mold out of clay. You can refer back to part 3 if you need a refresher on how this is done. Additionally, to make workable ingots, you will need some molds for those as well, so throw a couple in the pit while you wait. It's likely you already have one hammer you've been using to break up ore into nuggets, but it can be a major pain to find yourself without one mid-smithing and have to pour another. So I would recommend creating 1 to 2 hammers solely for use on the anvil. The forge is easily built. Simply arrange 7 cobblestone into a U-shape in the crafting grid. Cobblestone can either be grabbed from ruins scattered around the world. Note that, unlike in Minecraft, cobble can be broken with the bare hand. Or crafted out of specific stone by arranging 8 around a single piece of clay. For the fuel, you can just use some of the charcoal you produced earlier for smelting, but it may be worth it in the future to try and locate a coal mine, as brown coal works just as well for smithing, and can be found in enormous quantity. Tongs do not have durability, so you can just keep using the pair you constructed for smelting as well. Once the anvil and ingot molds are ready to be used, smelt at least 1,300 units of copper, or 260 nuggets. That will be enough to fill the 900 units needed for the anvil, and fill 4 ingot molds. As 1 ingot is equal to 1 tool, all ingots are 100 units of metal, or 20 nuggets. Step 2. Heating ingots. When your ingots are cool enough to take out of the mold, you can either hold shift and store them in a pile for future use, or keep them in a storage container if you prefer. When you're ready to start, place your forge down and hold shift plus right-click with a piece of fuel to add it to the forge. Then place up to 4 ingots at once on top and light it with a torch. You could do this in any order as well, adding additional fuel at any point, or lighting the fuel and then adding ingots to the lit coals. The only thing to watch out for is adding additional cold ingots to a pile resets the temperature of all of them. As the coals burn, the ingots will begin to heat up and glow. You can see their temperature by hovering over them as well. It's ideal for your ingots to be white hot before working them, as that will give you the most amount of time, but anything past red hot or around 60% of their melting point is acceptable. Part 3. Smithing. With tongs in the offhand, grab an ingot and shift right-click to place it on the anvil. When you do, you'll be greeted by a menu to select what it is you want to make from the ingot. Note that once an item is selected, the ingot will now become a work item until completed. Even if cooled down and reheated, it will never go back to being an ingot and can only be made into the selected item. When an ingot is placed on the anvil and an item is selected, a guide made up of green and dark purple voxels will appear. To complete the tool, all of the green voxels must be filled with metal and all of the purple ones must be cleared. Pressing F with the hammer, you'll bring up your strike options. There are 6 options. Heavy Hit, which will attempt to move all voxels down to the lowest possible position, mostly only good for trying to flatten out plates or chainmail. The Upsets, left, right, up, and down. These move a single voxel up, down, left, or right relative to where you're standing. Note that a voxel cannot move up over a ledge higher than 1 voxel high, and cannot cross gaps without dropping down to fill said gaps. And the Split, which will remove a voxel permanently. Some recipes, like the iron plate, require 2 ingots, but generally every ingot has enough voxels to complete a basic tool, with some wiggle room so you don't need to fear removal of voxels too much. But be warned that once removed, this cannot be undone. Even if you're a single voxel short, the only way to add it in is to plop a whole second ingot on top. A huge waste. So be mindful and try and fill in the shape before removing anything. Here you can see the process of switching to different hits to move the voxel into position and finally remove the excess. Once completed, the item will pop into your inventory. It will still be as hot as it was on the anvil. You can either let it cool down on its own over time, or throw it into the water for a satisfying hissing and bubbling. However, as of version 1.18.15, November 2023, there does not seem to be any benefit to doing this, or punishment for simply crafting a tool using the hot tool head. It has no effect on durability or any other visible stat. Now that you're able to smith, there are a huge number of quality of life upgrades you can make, especially with the addition of the saw to your tool belt, which will be my next video. Vintage Story is very much a game about struggle. Struggle to survive, struggle to travel, struggle to prosper, and struggle to produce. But with each advancement we make, the closer we move to eliminating these struggles. There are a great many increasingly complex mechanisms for us to master in the future, and in order to explore them, we're going to need to improve the standard of living around the base. Part 1. The board. The saw isn't the only thing we can make good use of now that we're smithing the full range of tools, but it does give us access to the board. The board is an essential ingredient in a variety of items that are either totally unavailable previously or are massive upgrades compared to their primitive equivalents. Note that there are 52 items you can use boards to make, but I'll only be focusing on things directly useful to us right now. To start, up until now our only way of storing items is the tool rack, leaning them against walls, reed baskets, and storage vessels. The storage vessel remains useful for the entire game, as it actually slows the spoil of foods placed inside of it, but it's an expensive item in terms of time and energy to produce. The crate, constructed at a cost of 14 or a little less than 1 log each, can store a huge amount of material, 1,280 items in total, or 20 stacks of 64. And can stack flush with other crates. They can be opened or closed using the crafting grid so you can see inside of them, although certain items will just automatically convert the crate to the closed graphic. The crate does not operate like a normal chest. It only holds one type of item at a time, but in addition to its superior storage capacity and low cost, it also allows you to pull from and deposit rapidly, as you can left or right click in combination with crouch and sprint, to instantly grab or deposit individual amounts or full stacks. It's a little confusing at first, but it's a great block to use in certain circumstances, like storing stone. At a higher cost, as it now requires smithing strips and nails, is the wooden chest. The chest holds a little less than a crate, 16 slots in total, but is a bit more user-friendly as you can simply open and close them to view and organize its contents. Chests can store any item in any amount or combination. They can be combined in the crafting grid to form the trunk or double chest as well. A well-organized inventory makes the game a lot easier and keeps your inventory clear of junk. Up to this point, you've been using the rough door. I was going to say, this is the most evil thing ever constructed in the history of gaming, and was personally coded by Satan into the game, as there is a random chance each time you use it, it may fall off of its hinges. However, to my surprise, when editing this video, I found that is no longer the case. So never mind. With boards, you can now construct the solid door. The sleek door looks a little better, but only the solid door will either seal rooms or cellars shut temperature-wise, so is the preferential choice. The trapdoor is a means of sealing shut vertical shafts in the same means as the door. Note that while it does work to seal cellars, sellers do not care what elevation they're at, so putting them underground is an aesthetic choice only, and long access tubes can occasionally cause a cellar not to function properly, as the game is viewing them as one room. Best to use a regular door or blocks to seal a cellar. The bucket. Unlike in Minecraft, single blocks of water are infinite sources, and the bucket allows you to produce these at will. A water source in your base can be useful for cleaning rot, quenching hot metal, and using as a cooking ingredient. Out in the field, water can be used to easily tunnel straight down into the earth in relative safety, although breaking into a cave can get hairy. Although you will need to periodically pop into the wall for an air break and make sure to use a light source other than a torch, it's definitely my favorite way of mining. Watering can become a thing of the past by incorporating water right into your garden, a massive time save. The bucket is also used to move all other liquids in the game, so it's an essential item for the future. The vertical rack, formerly the mold rack, allows you to easily keep a library of casting molds in your smithy without taking up room on the floor. The shelf has limited usability as a superior option, but can make for an attractive way of storing your bowls and pots. They also hold food items, but they will rot at the same rate as if left out. The proper bed. This upgrade to the straw bed allows you to sleep an hour and a half longer, which can be a boon for players unwilling or unable to operate in the dark, or who are waiting on ceramics or charcoal to finish firing. The sign and signpost. You can write on both using pigments, charcoal or black coal for black, limestone for chalk or white, lapis lazuli for blue, cinnabar for red, and malachite for green. Hold shift and right click and you can write whatever you like. Adjust the font size to your liking and click save to confirm. When using chests for storage, the sign makes for a useful way of labeling.
I don't know how to farm.
You can also use them to remind you of things or inform other players, and can help you navigate cave systems. The signpost is a block that allows you to mark off specific directions. As I play with the map enabled, I just use waypoints to mark locations, making the signpost more of a decorative block than a useful one, but they can be used to inform other players of your base or a viable mining site along a road. On the topic of decorative blocks, while I said that I'd like to focus on utility only, it's worth mentioning the plank. You get 4 per log, and they come in 12 colors. They make for a much more attractive material than dirt and mud bricks, and let's be honest, you are proud of your little dirt hovel, but it's probably time we stop living in mud. Getting frustrated by blocks being oriented the wrong way? No need to break and replace them, use the wrench to rotate it as much as you like. Grass and sticks can be a royal pain to collect. The scythe can remove and collect grass much faster than the knife. Yeah, it's whatever, it'll be done soon. No, I'm just collecting stuff.
Ah!
And the shears break large amounts of branches and leaf blocks, yielding plenty of sticks and seeds. And that does it for quality of life upgrades available to us right away. Ahead of us is a winding path of various branches, and we could touch on a variety of topics next. In the next video, I'll touch on alloys and their various uses, starting with bronze. Copper is a bountiful ore that can be used to make a huge amount of tools and items, but it has its limitations. Its mining speed is less than double that of stone, and its durability is lackluster. While it's a good idea to always have a spare pick, it's especially true with the soft copper pickaxe. The copper pickaxe also cannot break quartz, meaning if you happen to run into the massive and prolific quartz shelves that you can find throughout the land, you may need to travel a massive distance to get around it, or abandon the area completely. This also means it is effectively impossible to gather said quartz in large quantities. Just the same as our ancient ancestors, we will have to move into the Bronze Age. The bronze pickaxe can break the various utility ores like borax and alum, quartz, and iron ore, meaning it's an essential upgrade to make the tech tree leading us to steel. All bronze tools have higher durability, mining speed, and attack power. Additionally, bronze armor absorbs and negates more damage. Bronze is also the lowest tier metal for the construction of the Helvhammer, for when we wish to automate the processing of ingots, but more on that later. Let's begin. Part 1. Finding Tin. Tin spawns much the same way as any ore, so my previous videos on prospecting while focusing on finding copper can be utilized in the same way to find tin, but there are some differences. To start, tin spawns in smaller amounts. It's pretty uncommon to find giant discs of tin ore like you do with copper. This doesn't matter for our end goal, because bronze is an alloy between copper and tin. It's actually still 92% copper, meaning even a small score of tin can open up bronze in a big way for you. This does matter because it makes it harder to find when you're actually spelunking. Additionally, as we previously discussed, the prospecting pick is showing you a per mil. That's 1 in 1,000 instead of percent, 1 in 100, of how much ore top to bottom of the chunk is likely to actually be that ore. That means while you may find giant copper ore fields with a reading of very high, 30 per mil, it's pretty much impossible to find a number that high when looking for tin ore, or cassiterite as it's called in the game. I've seen many players struggle by focusing on that number and walking away from the real important detail, the adjective. Decent, high, and very high. Due to its low spawn volume, a reading of 0.1 or 0.2 per mil is more than acceptable. Let's take a look at a heat map I made of a viable area. Black represents no ore, browns are poor and very poor. Orange is decent, and the reds are high and very high. We can learn a lot from this map. We can see that tin seems to spawn in tighter fields. There's not much distance between spots of minuscule tin and a very high when compared to other ores. Interestingly, the angle of approach plays a role in how easy it is to catch wind of this spot. To the east, west, and south, you can see what is typically described by most guides, a gradual increase. However, to the north, there is a hard wall between the highest spot and absolutely nothing. To that point, the southeast is a little more favorable than any other direction the spot has generated, with a slight slope in that direction. This kind of random patterning can lead players to frustration as they struggle to truly chase down a nice high-yield area. But don't despair. Ore generation is not a binary. A spot is neither good or bad. Even a decent reading can work if you're willing to methodically search it. Let's examine some of these spots for how much ore is really down there. Here at the south, where there's only a reading of minuscule, there is no tin ore at all to be found. Heading just a little bit further somewhere between poor and decent, though, there are multiple tin mines.
I know, but I saw a thing in the distance.
This spot is the farthest distance between any of the tin ore veins shown. While the average width of these mines is around only 8 blocks, were you to utilize the soda cracker method I discussed in earlier videos of punching vertical channels 10 blocks apart and utilizing a node search pick with a radius of 5, you would have some success. Many of the initial vertical shafts in such a search would both miss the mines and fail to come within the search radius of the pick. It would not be an easy search. However, one shaft seen here would directly mine into a node, and 2 would come within range. A spelunking in this area would eventually succeed. I feel it's important to stress that crummy readings can be worked to success, with some smarts and patience. Let's next take a look, for fun, at an example of a high-yield 0.2 per mil spot to see the difference. You can see that there are quite a lot more veins to be had. They are cloistered closer together, and many are quite a bit larger. It would not take very long to turn such a spot into a successful strike. Let's recap what we learned about tin. Tin ore generates in smaller amounts. A high amount of tin is around 0.1 to 0.2 per mil. Tin ore fields generate in tighter patches, and they do not spread out evenly on all sides. Even poor quality ore fields can yield some ore if you truly cannot find anything better. High quality ore fields have multiple viable mines.
What's that?
Part 2. Making bronze. The hard part of bronze is over. Making alloys is actually quite simple. While you can find the specific percentages relating to each alloy, it isn't truly necessary beyond understanding the general ratio. Bronze is mostly copper and about 10% tin. Simply place the lion's share of copper in the crucible and begin slowly adding tin until an appropriate ratio is met. Since it's a bad habit to make anything less than a round multiple of 100 units or one full tool worth of metal, the most amount of bronze you can make at once is 2100 units, or 21 ingots, with 3 full stacks of copper and 36 pieces of tin. You can also have 2 full stacks, a stack of 124 copper and 40 tin. But copper is less valuable than tin, so it should be used as fully as possible. Bronze can be poured, casted, and smithed the same as copper. Now that we've acquired higher tier tools, we can begin to get into some of the more fine detail crafting mechanics, such as the production of leather, which will be my next video. Leather is useful for a variety of items in Vintage Story. Most notably, it is the sole ingredient in producing the leather backpack, which has a whopping 6 slots, increasing your inventory space by 24. The recurve and longbow, which do greater damage and have far greater durability than their crude counterparts. The sling, which, if you're a malefactor, or if you use this command to remove class-exclusive recipes, turns simple stones into deadly projectiles. Leather armor, which is a relatively good armor with no downsides in speed, making it an ideal suit for exploration. And the jerkin, which is the base ingredient for all higher-tier metal armors. Leather working requires 7 items, many of which you likely already have. 1. A good supply of oak or acacia logs for making tannin. 2. A supply of borax, or either chalk, limestone, or marble. 3. A knife of any quality. 4. A hammer, or a quern. 5. A bucket to transfer large volumes of liquid. 6. A barrel to store your liquids and hides during preparation. 7. The hides themselves. You can use any size of hide to make leather. However, the amount needed to make a full batch increases as you use smaller sizes. You cannot mix different sized hides together. A full batch of leather is either 5 huge hides, 8 large hides, 12 medium hides, or 25 small hides. Hides can be acquired from any mammal killed in the game, and is dropped alongside their meat and bones when harvesting. The size of a hide depends on the size of the animal. Bears, for instance, always drop huge hides, while rabbits always drop small hides. Borax or lime can be a greater challenge to locate. Since chalk and limestone are sedimentary rocks, they will typically appear at the surface of the biome they spawn in. This makes them the easiest to find, and also the largest volume compared to borax, which must be prospected for like ore. My personal recommendation is to gear up well and begin a long walk away from base in search of a biome with bone-white rock at the surface. By default, your map will not have true colors turned on, but if it does, you can also use it to try and spot these biomes from a greater distance. Be advised though, this is a large undertaking. The desired stone may be thousands of blocks away, so be ready for a very long journey, and consider building a road to this site on your way back. If you cannot locate limestone or chalk anywhere reasonable, you will have to prospect for borax. Borax only spawns in sedimentary rock, so locate a biome anywhere in your travels with either claystone, sandstone, shale, chert, conglomerate, or bauxite, and limit your searches there. Borax follows the same principles as the various ores I've described in earlier videos. Some players prefer prospecting for borax, others like to go on long journeys searching for giant biomes filled with limestone or chalk. It really comes down to personal preference which style of gameplay you prefer. Regardless, borax and lime represent the greatest challenge in resource collecting for leatherworking. Borax.
Kids Bop just released a new CD. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Apparently so. I get my health back. Yeah. Spotify is the one who told me about this. I don't even know why it popped up on my Spotify. I've never listened to it once. Listened to one on Spotify. Yeah, even with feather. It has been fun. Yes. Yeah, I started exploring and seeing like the different, seeing the different biomes. When I realized I need armor and stuff at some point. Don't know where we're gonna get that. Mm. Oh. Oh yeah, you gonna be a college student. Mm. Well, whenever you have free time. Mm-hmm. Okay. Gotta have this written down somewhere. Sometimes you just gotta invite Moss to a Discord call and be like, "Listen, you're a witness." All right, I hope it goes well. Remember, guys, keep your hands